talking about the pioneer thing. So Willie, as you know, because you've been on the show a couple times before, and but Michael, we talk about with the New Frontier Financial Advocacy with through the Treasure State Advisors. What we do is we try to parallel sort of a new frontier against the old frontier, and we try to really carry forward the same kind of principles and key traits that were relevant then for necessity and opportunity and independence are still relevant today. It's just now that opportunity doesn't exist in free land or available land if you can survive and claim it. It's within the own systems that we live in. And so the cool thing about pioneers then is they did not wait for permission, right? They either determined I have the resilience, the self-reliance, the grit, the vision. I'm gone.
Yeah.
I'm joining that wagon train and I'm gone and I'm going to go make it happen. And it's interesting to me that in today's day and age, like we have set ourselves up where so many of us wait for permission with our money. It's like like Karen was saying, we silo our money into all these different places, and then we
get told you can't touch that.
Yeah, we wait for permission.
Don't touch your 401k right. or this IRA until this.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So it's kind of from a freedom implication standpoint, it's kind of an interesting, it ties into that whole, again, trying to tie everything back into the whiskey, wealth, and freedom concept. But curious, you guys, you had mentioned, Willie, from an example standpoint, 401k, and when you think about the way that we operate today from a permission standpoint, are there other places where we do the same thing, where we ask for permission as far as being able to access our money or money in general?
Yeah, I mean, I know we do, just because there's so many. If I just want to go down the laws and regulation route, I mean, just more and more keep getting passed. Okay, you people need to do this way, or all these things keep getting keep getting passed or whatever. And a good friend of mine told me, he's like, man, I wished, up at Helena or Washington D.C., every time they pass a new law or regulation, they should have to take two away. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense, because you're just at some point we're all going to be so regulated, like you can't do anything,
right,
unless you're told to do it, or you get my point. Like it's so.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It's hard to be that pioneer in a lot of ways, because there's just so many rules and regulations.
There's so many at this point. I always wonder, at any given moment, I'm probably breaking some rule, even though I don't mean to, but I don't even know it exists. But like.
Yeah, I mean, like we're free. America's free.
Right.
Yeah,
but we ain't.
Yep.
We all know it.
Well,
we don't all know it, but.
I mean, there were trappers in the Rocky Mountains before the Louisiana Purchase. Right. I mean, they didn't wait for the green light that it's okay, we bought it, you can go in.
Yeah.
They went in anyway, knowing that they could possibly and probably be killed. But they knew there were opportunities, and they were not about to wait for permission. I think at least our family culture is very much nonconformist, to the point where it's actually a problem at times. But I would love to learn more on the financial side of things, how to eliminate the banker or minimize the influence that the banks have on my family, because as an owner of several small businesses, cash flow is extremely important, and we rob Peter to pay Paul all the time. And my investment strategy up to this point has been pretty simple. I can make enough mistakes on my own. I don't trust others. So I usually reinvest in myself as much as possible, but it would be nice to have more tools in the toolbox and know what I was doing in that realm, because there are times when you do need more cash flow. And I think that the world has given us marching orders. They've given us a conformist mindset that this is the way it's done, and if you do it this way, you'll be happy. And Some of us just don't hear that music.
Well, and it's access to information too, right? Like, because like talking about being highly trained is like, like part of the Devil's Brigade is, there was an intentional effort put into what was required to prepare these people for success as part of the brigade. And I think the problem is that what we're trying to do anyway is we're trying to kind of help open people's options up and realize and share information that's not widely known or circulated. And so going back to to the whole permission thing, it's like, well, you're trained to have home wealth and home ownership this way, and nobody ever questions it. But because that's just because they don't know any better. But once you realize, well, wait a minute, if I'm interested in something like an infinite banking concept, but cash flow is an issue because I do live, I have a budget, and I just don't see the extra ability to fund a contract or a policy. So isn't it pretty cool that, again, for the right people, you can tap into that locked up equity in your house and say, well, we can apply that ability to use that, to access that equity and fund that contract that we didn't even realize was an option before. So now it becomes on the table. So it makes you, it kind of makes you more lethal, so to speak, like in a financial operational standpoint.
The thing that I find so fun, people come and they ask questions as if there's an answer to them. Like, should I get a 30 or a 15 year? Well, that depends. I need to see your entire financial picture, what makes sense for you, blah, 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 blah. All of those things, a 15 year is going to save me money. Well, only if you look at the mortgage as its own siloed thing. If you could, if you're have a mortgage for 5%, but you have something that you can invest in that makes 7%, well, you're better off investing, getting a loan for 30 years at 5% and being able to free up that cash flow that you can invest at 7%. So all of that, like, again, nothing should live in a silo. You always have to pull back and see how every facet of your financial life is influencing each other, because the answer to everything is always individual. And it's always how that person is set up, what life looks like for them, to an extent, what their stomach is for risk or whatever.
Yeah.
And all of that. So, I hate anytime there's certain questions that I just go, what's your rate? What do you want it to be? Because I can show you how to get a 3% rate right now if you want it, just by how you pay back that loan. Like, why, you're asking the wrong questions.
Yeah.
So when you can actually, again, I say it all the time, but take agency and decide to be responsible for how you're setting up your life and first of all, what are your goals? And then how do we get you there? Is always really, really, really fun to actually be able to look at all the options.
Sounds like you're not into cookie cutter approaches.
God, no.
Yeah, that's cool.